by sight in much of what we do. I mean, it seems pretty easy when you can see where you're actually going. But what we consider walking by sight, really it's actually walking by faith in some respects. We consider it sight, yet we trust by faith in signs that we see, bridges made by man's hand, cars we drive that come off assembly lines, even cars that we drive at high speed, the food that we eat that's prepared for us by people that we don't even know, even finding directions. We seem to be walking by sight, but we actually walk by faith in the things that we have no power in, that have no power over us, that have no power, period. We trust in them every single day. And yet Paul the Apostle says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse number 7, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Which begs the question, what is our faith in? The things that we can see or the things that we can't see? And I think about in John's Gospel in chapter 20, after the Lord had risen, he saw many of the disciples, and at that time Thomas was not one of them. And when the disciples had said to Thomas, we've seen the risen Lord, he said, unless I see him and I could put my hands in his side and my fingers in his hands, I will not believe. And yet 8 days later, the Lord appeared to the disciples again, and this time Thomas was there. And he said to Thomas, put your fingers in here. And he did so, and Thomas cried out, he said, my Lord, my God. And Jesus said, because you have seen, you believe. He said, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. And so we walk by faith. But walking by faith, it's not walking in blindness. It's actually trusting in Him, trusting in Jesus, trusting in what He says. Part of our faith as well is to walk properly and orderly, to walk circumspectly, to walk worthy of the calling in His ways, in His Spirit, in the newness of life, to walk in love. And you know, none of this is possible if we don't walk by faith. It says in Hebrews 11:6, for without faith it's impossible to please Him. For he who comes to Him must believe that He is, and that He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. And I think about the Christian artist Jeremy Camp, who in his 20s lost his young wife to a battle of cancer. And during that time, he was very, very lost over the situation, until the Lord asked him to pick up his guitar again. And when he picked up his guitar, the words to the song, Walk by Faith, came. The song says, will I believe you when you say, your hand will guide my every way? Will I receive you when you say, every moment of every day? Well, I will walk by faith, even when I cannot see, well, because this broken road prepares your will for me. It's God's will that we walk by faith. When Abraham was called out of the land of the Ur of Chaldeans to go to the Canaanite land, he didn't have signs, he didn't have cars, he didn't have bridges made by man's hand. He simply had faith in God. Not in what he could see, but in the God who spoke to him about a promise that would bless the entire world, a promise in His Son, Jesus Christ. The question for us is, will you believe Him when He says? God bless you today. We want you to come visit us at Tacoma Calvary. We're at 1201 South J Street. You can also find us at tacomacalvary.org. God bless you guys today.